Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Natanis and today I've got some thoughts that I want to share with Elon Musk and SpaceX, specifically about Mars, visiting Mars, and getting a person on Mars. I have some thoughts that I just want to share with you. But before we get to that, I feel like it's kind of important that I share a little bit about myself and everything. So we're going to quickly talk about some of my educational background. So first off, there's not any big schools around, and I never really had the money to go attend a big school. So I did what I could as far as that is concerned. So I did attend a small community college for a while, and I was going specifically for graphic design. I figured it's the closest thing around here I've got that's going to be in the art area. So that is what I went after, graphic design and everything. Eventually, though, I did end up in the Air Force, and I was a aerospace propulsion airman. And basically, I've learned a lot about, aircraft engines, airfoils, blah, 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 all that shtick. I don't have any certifications in that. The only place I know of is somewhere down in Alabama. And at the time, it would have been like $5,000 to get certified. So, yeah, couldn't do that. Um, Anyway, when I got back home after military and Obama's horse crap, I decided to go back to school and continue with graphic design, which should you should infer directly from that no, I did not get my degree in graphic design. So, alongside that, something mentally with me had changed, and I decided to go ahead and pursue programming alongside that. So I do have a little bit of programming knowledge specifically with Java and a little bit of C. Not very much. Things happened, and yeah, I wasn't able to continue that. One day I would like to, but it's not looking good at the moment. It's just the money issue. Like, well, it's not just that, but it is partly a money issue as far as going back to school. Uh, the other problem is a mental problem with people. So yeah, we got that to deal with. Anyway, the reason I wanted to bring that up is one of my professors had said in my design courses that he would have loved to have me on like a think tank or on a conceptual team because he thought any one of my designs he could take and turn into a finished product. And that's kind of where I want to throw some focus on is my ability to think through and come up with concepts for various things. And that's what I do a lot of. I think through things and think like what would it take to do this and that, and try to work that out from there. So there was a time where I was looking at trying to be a conceptual artist. However, again, because of the area I live in, there's absolutely nothing around here for that. So that kind of fell through. And the only way I could even hope to do that is be able to move out, which move out of the area I live in, that is, and get somewhere else. But again, that's a whole money issue. Anyway, that's kind of where I want to start and kind of explain my thoughts on what I think SpaceX needs to do in order to get a person onto Mars. Okay, so we've got the capability of sending robots and drones to Mars in order to explore. We have a whole bunch of different satellites in orbit that all have self deployed. And one of the things that I've heard talked about as far as being able to go to Mars is getting robots there in order to set up a habitat ahead of any would be explorers. I'm actually thinking that this is kind of half right, half incorrect. I think there's a different way to do this. And it's going to take a lot on the engineering part, but let me explain a little bit before we get to the point that I want to make in this. So, we have satellites that have been put out into space in orbit around the Earth who have various parts that deploy after they have exited the spacecraft or the rocket. For instance, most satellites deploy their solar panels, and then JWST also deployed its giant lenses in order to peer off into the distance. And I think that is going to be something that we really need to do. Not a robot that actually builds a habitat, but instead a robot that is a habitat. And in fact, I'm thinking more than one. So, one of the things that I'm thinking of and I'm kind of concerned with, we actually it's probably a little bit overstated, but in The Martian, we see that the storm that comes through starts tearing apart the equipment and all the things that they brought to Mars in order to explore and everything. And that's why they have to leave, and they leave behind one of their own because they figure he is dead due to the storm that came through. Now, because of that, I do think that whatever habitat you build out there, or send more correctly, needs to be very, very strong on the exterior. I'm thinking probably like 3 layers of protection just to make sure, and then 2 inner layers. You need a final inner layer that's probably a little bit lighter and a little bit more airtight, and then a thinner finished inner layer that allows for like pressure changes a little bit. We're not talking anything big, but we're talking probably some type of really sturdy material like a tent or something on the inside of that in order to like inflate like a balloon and everything and seal up any other possibilities that could happen. There are a lot of different things that I would also recommend. There's also the concept of, I don't remember the exact name. You're gonna have to forgive me on this part, but like Newtonian fluid, I think it is, if I've got the correct one, where it's pretty much kind of a fluid, and as long as like you're slowly putting your hand into it and everything, it works just fine. But if you try to use any type of force to get into it, it turns into a solid. Whatever that is, you need to have like a layer of that somewhere. That's mostly to, again, like protect the interior of it and keep whoever is living inside the habitat safe. But I do want to point out again that we are effectively going to need like a few different robots that act like a transformer combiner. So all these things get on the planet, they come together, and then they start morphing and combining into one another to form a habitat or a couple of habitats. Now, I am thinking that you're probably going to need a couple of different versions of this, and one of those, I know we've made them here on Earth. I don't know how well they would do on Mars, but you're probably going to have to make a biosphere of some sort. How exactly that will work, I don't know. That's up to you guys to figure out, but I do think that needs to be part of it. If you're going to have an extended stay on Mars, you're going to have a biosphere. Now, one thing I said in a message over on Twitter or X that I did notice that Elon didn't like, I want to reiterate this again. A lot of scientists and everybody are worried about contaminating other planets, like bringing our own germs and potentially destroying an ecosystem. In the case of Mars and the idea of terraforming it, I think we absolutely need to do this. And the thing that I would say to use, and this is going to be a very slow process, but you need the process to start naturally. But we need to take some of the microbes that are living on the outside of the ISS and purposely plant those on Mars, possibly on the outside of this habitat. Uh, it's going to happen anyway, based on what I know about the microbes on the ISS. So you might as well do it on purpose just because. Anyway, that is kind of my thoughts on that, and I just wanted to share that. And I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you later.